Hey, welcome back, Big Brain Blue Knights. Still in Unit 1. We were looking at greatest common factor and least common multiple. Maybe you've been wondering, when would I ever use these things? We're going to look at that today with some word problems that involve what we've been studying. So let's head into the studio. First question. There are 3 bells that toll at intervals of 8 minutes, 15 minutes, and 24 minutes, respectively. If they toll together at 3 p.m., at what time will they toll together again? So the first question is this a lowest or least common multiple question or a greatest or highest common factor? We've got 3 bells that are going to ring and then ring into the future. So our time is getting bigger. We want to know the smallest number after we've started that this bell will ring again. So this is a lowest common multiple question. We've been talking about 2 ways to solve this problem. So I'm going to give you an example of both, and you want to decide which one is easier for you. Let's start with solving this problem based on using prime factorization. So I've got 8, I've got 15, and I've got 24. 8 we can break down into 2 and 4. 2 is prime. 4 we can break down into 2 and 2. So 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. All right, 15. 15 breaks down into 3 and 5. So 15 is 3 times 5. And 24, well, there's a bunch of ways we could do this, but let's do 3 times 8. 3 is prime. 8 becomes 2 and 4. So 2 is prime. And then 4 breaks down 2 and 2. So 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. All right, now for the lowest common multiple, remember we need a representative of all of these. 8 has 3 2s. 24 has 3 2s. So we'll take those 3. We don't need these. We have 1 3. We don't need that one, and we have a 5. So our lowest common multiple is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 5 is 15. 8 times 15 is 120. So it'll be in 120 minutes. They will all ring again together. So let's try it with inverse division just to check our answers. Okay? Remember, in inverse division, we're going to take the L twice. So let's start with 8, and let's start with 24. I can divide both 8 and 24 by 8, leaving me with 1 and 3. All right. And 8 times 1 times 3 is 24, incidentally. So let's go 24, and let's go 15. I can divide both of those by 3, because 2 plus 4 is 6, and 1 plus 5 is 6, leaving me with 8 and 5. I take the L again. And now I have 3 times 8 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. 3 times 40 is 120. So no matter which way you use it, you're going to end up with 120 minutes. So let's go back up to the question here. The question says, if they ring at 3 o'clock, what time will they ring all together? Well, we came up with 120 minutes. So the answer is the bells will all ring together again at 120 minutes is 2 hours. They first rang at 3 o'clock, so they will all ring again together at 5 p.m. All right, let's look at another one. Paul has 3 pieces of rope with lengths of 140 centimeters, 168 centimeters, and 210 centimeters. He wishes to cut the 3 pieces of rope into smaller pieces of equal length with no remainders. All right, first question. Is this a least common multiple or greatest common factor question? Well, we've got 3 numbers, and we want to know a number that is smaller. So this is a greatest common factor problem. All right? So it's greatest common factor problem. Well, 140, 168, and 210. So first question. What is the greatest possible length of each of the smaller pieces of rope? Well, we know, again, there's 2 ways we could solve this. The first one is by doing this with prime factorization. 140, we can divide by 10 and 14. 10 we can divide into 2 and 5. 14 we can divide into 2 and 7. These are our prime numbers. Okay, our second number is 168. All right. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 8 is 15. So I can divide this by 3. If I divide that by 3, I'm going to get 56. You can't do that with mental math. That's okay to do that one on your calculator. 56 I can divide into 8 times 7. 7 is prime. 8 is 2 times 4. And 4 is 2 times 2. All right? And then I've got 210. I could do that with 10 and 21. 10 is 2 and 5. These are both prime. 21 is 3 and 7, and those are both prime. Okay. So, if we write these out now, 140 is 2 times 2 times 5 times 7. 168 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. And 210 is 2 times 3 times 5 times 7. All right? So the greatest common factor, we want to see what do they all share. Well, the first one that they all share is a 2. Now, 210 and 168 have a 3, but 140 does not. 140 and 210 have a 5, but 168 does not. But they all do have a 7. Okay? So our greatest common factor is 2 times 7, which is 14. Now, that was if you did it with prime factorization. Let's see if we come up with the same answer if we use inverse division. So let's start with 140 and 168. And 210. Now remember, because this is greatest common factor, we can do all three at the same time, right? Well, 140, 168, and 210 are all even numbers, so I can use 2. 140 in half is going to give me 70. 168 in half is going to give me 84. And 210 divided by 2 is going to give me 105. All right. Now, admittedly, this next part right here, this is a little difficult because there is actually no divisibility test for 7. So this one would take a little bit of number sense or a little bit of trial and error. But if you look at 70, I know that that's an even number. It's also divisible by 10. 84 is an even number, but not divisible by 10. And 105 is neither divisible by an even number or 10. So, but I do know that I can divide 70 by 7. So I'm going to try that out. I can divide 84 by 7, and I'm going to get 12. And if I divide 105 by 7, you can use your calculator, or you can do mental math. It's going to end up 15. Now 10, 12, and 15, nothing more can happen there. So our greatest common factor, again, is 2 times 7, which is 14. And let's go back and find the questions we were asked. What is the greatest possible length of each of the smaller pieces of rope? Okay, well, the greatest possible length is 14 inches. And then question B says, how many smaller pieces of rope can he get all together? Okay, well, if he has 140, and he is going up the first rope, you're going to take 140 divided by 14, and you're going to end up with 10 pieces of rope. If he takes 168, and he divides by 14. You can use mental math or your calculator here, but it's going to be 12 pieces of rope. And with 210, you can divide by 14, calculator or mental math. You're going to end up with 15 pieces of rope. So, his total number of pieces of rope is 10 plus 12 plus 15. That's 22 plus 15. It's 37. So question B, he will have 37 pieces of rope. All right, that was it for our bridge lesson, taking greatest common factor and least common multiple with some word problems. If you have anything you need help or clarification with or on from this lesson, or when you get to the homework, make sure to send me an email. Otherwise, I will see you next time on our next Great Math Adventure.